And you're watching Smart 24 TV into our last segment of our conversations here, dealing with a lot to do with saving for retirement, Nssf issues, employees and employers, that relationship that you should be having with your employee, rather, if you're an employer, the relationship you would be having with your employee, and of course, the issue to do with remitting these particular savings to the Nssf of the employees to at least have a room to know that in the near future, even after they're done working with your company, they have somewhere to start from, just in case they're into their retirement age. But for you as an employee as well, this is time for you to at least understand your right as an individual, but also someone who's actually having their own businesses. How then can you voluntarily save and prepare for your retirement? Because we're never getting any younger and time keeps on chasing us every other time. And here is Smart 24 TV and the Policon. We discuss politics and economics, how the two impact, especially how does the political space impact onto our economic field in that way. Because when you look at it, if we are not prepared amicably well, then we may end up facing it rough. This year, we're looking at economic recovery as a country. And of course, the economic recovery that we are basically looking at is it's actually rotating around quite a number of things. One of which is how you center yourself, the kind of decisions that you make as an individual, but then also how you've actually put yourself into a position of strategically using the opportunities that present themselves to you. And of course, I'm still with my guest, Honorable Biakatonda Abdul, who is a workers MP, to discuss this, to at least understand what do the workers need to know about saving. As we are into 2023, the IMF apparently came out and said that world economy will definitely head into a recession. And this was a huge one when it comes to most of the Ugandans who have not yet fully recovered from the shocks of what the 2 years of COVID-19 and other shortcomings did to them. But let's look at those who have actually benefited, because some of the people who have accessed their midterm benefits from Nssf have started out some businesses. They've at least changed their lives in the shortest time possible because they've been able to save for the last 10 years. This takes me back to the issue to do with our saving culture as Ugandans. Is the economy itself making it worse for Ugandans to save, or it is a deliberate failure by Ugandans themselves to pick up this saving spirit?
Thank you. I think, one, we should do a sort of analysis on whatever we do. Okay. In management, there is what we call the hedgehog dimension.
Okay, what is that?
This one, the emphasis is that let's put on so many caps.
Okay.
As you do broadcasting, what else can you do?
Yeah, okay.
But of course, we end up being consumers.
Of only one?
Of just one aspect. You grew there. Even when it comes to production, I think we are only consumers of imported goods.
We don't want to give ourselves room to expand beyond our limits.
Manager I used to get students on internship. And I could tell them there are so many opportunities as they are human beings. Yes. So whatever you do, think outside the box. Saving starts from the day one when you start work.
Yes.
But the challenge is that whenever we get a job, I think merrymaking.
The first salary is all about trying to do
you find
lots of things
getting the first loan, buy a 65-inch screen.
You need a car, you feel like you need to be
where you sleep, buy a car. That's kind of mindset. I think that has jeopardized our investment opportunities. Okay. So you end up retiring. I must say, there is what we call SAGE, Special Senior Citizens Grant. That one for the elderly. Okay. That thing, His Excellency the President thought of it, and they came up with that project. But even as I talk now, out of over 124 billion, I think they have only given 24 billion, implying I think even those who will not be able to access money unless there is some intervention. So at the end of the day, you'll find that I think psychologically they will live and die. because when that money doesn't actually reach them, it's just 25,000 a month, but it has been something. One time, I reached an elderly person who was worried about the nanny payment. I think they had taken about 4 months. Then she was worried, and I think even her sickness had actually accelerated. And I said, okay, maybe I can give you some money and you survive on this until they pay you. But for her mindset tells her she must get the 25 under shade sage. So when you terminate that means there will be a challenge. So what I want to say is that one, we need to change right from an individual to a household. We need to change our mindsets and tend towards a saving culture, tend towards investment. When you visit countries like China, why is it that every household is almost like a factory? These ones are manufacturing dresses, these ones are doing garments, these ones are doing what? But how can you have families? We are not able to produce a single thing to sell.
Okay.
What kind of life is that?
So ours is basically we are too comfortable.
I think that is very dangerous. Okay. Every household must have something they are producing. These ones are producing maize, these ones are producing peanuts, these ones are frying, these ones are doing this. I think this is now capitalism entails that we should really diversify and look at key aspects and address them. Even may I tell people, even at the level of say local government, you must have investment ideas. Yes. What is wrong if a district which has land is planting bananas and taking the market and adding to addressing their budget gaps? What's wrong if they are grazing cattle? What's wrong if they have a fish hatchery? There's nothing wrong. These are the ideas we need. But you'll find that at the end of the day, a budget has been cut. This one, we are looking for supplementary. At the end of the day, because government might be willing, but it's their capacity at the end of the day. And then some decisions that are made, which are radical and far-fetched also, at times cause problems. And at the end of the day, you find that when you subject them to cost-benefit analysis, at the end of the day, you're at losses. This is what we need to do and look at. For example, if police puts fines on bad driving and other these things, where does the money go?
Okay.
It goes to the consolidate fund. So by doing that,
okay,
it is also now adding to our GDP and the economy. Okay. So every institution should think like that.
At the same, okay.
Yes, if courts are putting a living fines, it goes to the consolidated fund at the end of the day. So I think we need to have a paradigm shift and change on how we think. Okay. Change on how we really perceive. There are two aspects: regulation, and then of course we are looking at the money-making entities. URA will collect revenue. But what are these other institutions doing? Every institution should not be a consumer of just the mega revenue that we have. Yeah. Let's pay salaries, but let the people really look at also returning, innovating, and ensuring that at least they translate into something which goes to that one would help. Okay. For example, if a hospital is giving us health, then it means the health board will go and work. At the end of the day, we can actually have that person can actually handle a certain aspect of the society. This is how things, that's the perception we should now tend towards. And when we do that, it can actually help us. So what I want to encourage is that because now social security is helping us to prepare for our old age and the like. But even at the investment level, whatever you get, we are looking at compulsory things like bills, school fees. But what is that investment idea that you have? Because me have attended the funerals, they'll tell you, this man is there, this woman, no man is replaceable. We are missing him. But before they even bury you, somebody is sitting in your office.
Yes, very true.
Is signing.
Immediately you're gone. Checks. Someone has already advertised for your job.
Nobody will even remember about you. But when they are praising me, there's nothing like that. Okay. When you are doing something, at least look at something. Me, when you find me, I think I'm a forester. If I left my career in 2005, from that time I said, what's difficult? I think the issue is sustainable development, climate change. I started raising seedlings. At times I cannot even get market, but I give people to plant. Because I know that at least when they plant, people will have a shade, people will have fruits, people will do this, people will sell timber, people will sell charcoal. This is important. So at least everybody warrants an idea that can actually impact on society. These avenues are the ones that will help us. How would you tell me you started the IT that you can't even have a small business? Yeah. You help people. You started this, you're an engineer, you can't even do an architectural plan. Have a shop there. Yeah? Call it architectural design shop. People come there and buy their design, architecture plans, do what? Yeah? You started the plumbing, you're still on the street. These are the kind of mindsets. When in your village, people are looking for plumbing service that they can't even find. So as you're working, you should have also
a plan B for yourself. And now let's talk about investing. For example, saving. Let's look at the saving situation. Nssf, you're working with an employer, and for the time you've been working with them, maybe they're not remitting these taxes, rather these funds to Nssf. What is the best way for you to at least recover? For you as an employee or as a voluntary saver, what should be the steps that one should take to do this?
There's a difference. A voluntary saver may be saving, but then can say, I want to add up.
Onto my savings.
My 10, like now 15.
All right.
Of my thing, I'm saving 30.
Okay.
That's one of the category of voluntary savers. Then another category, these ones who are not actually mandatory to save, but I say, I've opened an account, I want to start saving my money at your own will, and so forth. So it may be, the voluntary savers may be either in a formal employment or informal. So this is I think what we envisaged. But what I would like to say is that one, it should be common knowledge. Even by those who are likely to get appointment letters, there should be a provision stating that I will be getting such and such money, and this money shall be subjected to all statutory deductions. When we talk of statutory deductions, we are talking about pay as you earn. We are talking about Nssf and maybe any other. But of course, that is very important. Such that at the end, from the word go, it must be stipulated. Even if we put clearly, you'll be entitled to 10% of Nssf saving from the employer and 5% from you, which shall be remitted to Nssf. Please, you advise to provide details of your savings account with Nssf. This is how it does. So I want to encourage the human resource practitioners. They are the people who draft these letters, these appointment letters. They should really focus on this. Because if you don't do that, you are putting the employer into trouble. This money will accumulate. At the end of the day, they have used it, thinking it is from Father Christmas. Then they will not actually manage. At the end of the day, it will be billions and billions of money. So, and of course, when the arm of the law catches up with them, it is a provision. And we cannot say I'm ignorant about the law. So I encourage that people should look at these provisions. As an employer, even as, do you know what the Employment Act says? Workmen's Compensation, Nssf Act, all these, a number of them. You should actually have a combination of laws and ensure that you consult and ensure that at least you're up to date. When you are compliant, you will actually make business and sustainable business. But the challenge is that some people look at shortcuts, and at the end of the day, they realize that things cannot actually add up when they are caught between a rock and a hard place.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And Honorable, as we are still continuing to at least break down this issue to do with savings and 2023, I'm fine. I would say I'm fine to say 1 month is down. Some of the key challenges now is that the school calendar is reopened. Schools, the talk around town now is schools reopening again. you get to realize some parents are still feeling that pressure of the heat is now coming up, taking back children to school and all that. So with 2023 coming in at a time when we are all understanding the world of finances and everything, from the workers' perspective, what ways should we, for example, the employers, what would be the better ways to at least make sure that they increase the productivity amidst the tough times, the economic times that we are in? Few companies are making profits, we should say. Some are laying off. Globally, there's a lot of laying off taking place. People are being laid off their work and remaining jobless with no hope at all. So in such a time, 2023, a new year, what ways can companies try to, or employers try to enhance, productivity and boost the levels of the love or passion from their employees?
I think that's a very important aspect. But what is important, what I must advise, is that employers need to diversify. The employers need to a paradigm shift and the look of things. Don't just look at one aspect that you are handling. Okay. For example, if you are an employer who is dealing in milk as a product, okay, why don't you make ghee? Okay. Why don't you
diversification, make so that they don't specify?
Because when you diversify, all those become prominent sources of funding. Okay. That can actually increase on the value of your investment, and at the end of the day, you earn. This is important, and you find that most companies are doing one thing and not looking at other prospects. You need to look at a number of opportunities. They should actually fly as high as an eagle. Look at a lot of opportunities and explore. That is how fortunate companies are actually behaving. You will find that they are doing this, then if this is a product, then they are looking at a service. At the end of the day, when you diversify, you will not be vulnerable. You will end up actually being sustainable and stay in business. That's very important. Okay. Because when you're starting anything, one, you're alone. Then you don't actually you're not cognizant of other potential candidates that will come on board. So if you don't, then you'll be pushed out of business. You'll be saved away by the forces of business. But it's important to diversify and look at other venues, explore. Such that at the end of the day, because you're already a worker force, so if you are looking at other prospects, it's just a matter of providing skills. Okay. And then at the end of the day, you remain relevant to the game. That's how things should work. Otherwise, as it is, the economy has become different. That takes a lot of challenges.
All right, Honorable, lastly, the budget framework paper has been presented in Parliament, and different sectors are already trying to scrutinize. And of course, going through all the different allocations, there are other sectors who are actually claiming that now they have actually received the funds or money that's supposed to go to those sectors has been cut. So the government is cutting some expenditure from that particular one, cutting budgets. And of course, this is going to affect them in the long run. Now, from the workers' point of view, where do you think the government should heavily invest in the next financial year?
I think what is important, because those cuts, I think the objective is to save money and ensure that the economy stabilizes.
Okay.
And of course, some priorities are reflected but actually non-funded, others have been cut. Of course, the percentages have been portrayed where the cuts have been effected. But what is important, I think, we need to get out of that kind of thing and see how we move. We need to look at certain parameters, okay, and think objectively, and see what is that can actually impact greatly and make recovery of the economy. This is what we are looking at, because that one cannot be a permanent solution. Yes. The cuts should be temporary until we recover. Okay. Of course, the presumption is that let's do this, let's do that, and the other. But for me, I look at we need to focus on human resource planning. much as when I look at budgets on human resource planning, I think they're almost zero.
Okay.
Or once the government appreciates the core aspect of human resource planning as a core aspect, as one of the priority areas, it will make a difference. Because now we can look at the layoffs. I'm personally opposed to some of them. Of course, there is where there are duplications of duties. For example, when you talk of Public Service Commission, Education Service Commission, Health Service Commission, all those ones are looking at human resource planning and development. Those ones you can merge, but there are institutions, even when there are consultancy reports, because they first had a consultant, then at the end of the day, where the consultant was saying this one no, for them they are saying yes. So it is an aspect where people are imbued and obsessed with those unnecessary mergers and rationalizations without proper justification, most of them.
Okay.
And that one is going to cause a lot of havoc at the end of the day. You see, some of them, their functions, their impacts are invisible, but have disastrous repercussions on the economy. You've decided you just merge an institution like INRA, and at the end of the day, because there are two aspects. When you're talking of a merger, the recipient institution entity must actually be prepared. But you find that even most of these ministries are not prepared. There was this Ministry of Science and Innovation and Technology. They laid off most of the people, but I think most of them are still languishing. And what pains me is that most of these people we are throwing around are people who have taken a lot of government money on very sophisticated trainings. So if a neighboring country can offer opportunities, they will take all the skilled labor.
Okay.
All those expertise will be gone. So we need really to be cognizant of certain things and go slow on some of these things.
All right. And many thanks for joining us, Honorable, for this discussion. And of course, matters to do with employment and basically looking at saving for retirement, Nssf, all that here on the Policon. Your final remarks as we are winding up.
Now, I want to thank you for the opportunity. And I want to say that as Ugandans, let's think differently. Let's innovate. Let's ensure that at least we enter into the market economy. Okay. Me personally, as a member of parliament, you will find me in the mud, doing a lot of very dirty things, but where I think it can actually be sustainable. Because tomorrow I will not be a member of parliament.
Okay.
Do I really get the streets and start disturbing Sonko? Can they fix this somewhere here and there, lobby for me? Okay. I'm told such and such a minister is your relative. No, that one doesn't work. I think wherever you get an opportunity to serve, please do. Invest, diversify, and ensure that you have a positive mindset and be in the money economy. That will make a difference. And
that is Honorable Byakatonda Abdul for you, Workers MP. And of course, our discussions now come to an end. You can definitely get more of the Policon next time, as we shall be discussing more matters to deal with politics and economics. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. You've been watching, and keep it Smart 24 TV. Till next time, and may you have a fruitful week ahead of you.